Welcome, I'm Sunny. In this video, we're going to learn Tai Chi walking in a simple, approachable way, even if this is your very first time practicing. The goal of this practice is to build mindfulness, coordination, nervous system regulation, and focus by learning how to move calmly and with intention. We'll start with a few gentle warm-ups, then move directly into basic Tai Chi walking so you can feel the weight shift and rhythm. Along the way, I'll briefly touch on deeper ideas like the 8 vessels, not to overwhelm you, but to plant a seed for how this practice connects to the body internally. We'll finish with a few tips and examples including animal walking and ocean stepping so you can see where this practice can grow. When I first began learning Tai Chi back about 25 years ago, I could remember Tai Chi walking being a part of every single one of our classes. We would begin our class with 10 minutes of just mindfully walking a circle around the room. And so this was already so interesting to me from my previous practice. I just dove right in and found myself all the time when I had a little spare 10 minutes, I'd be in front of my TV, doing Tai Chi walking. And so it was something that just really got into my body and I felt it. And that's where I later learned that walking is considered one of the 4 treasures, or sometimes it's called the 3 treasures of standing, sitting, and walking, and the 4th is sometimes sleeping. These 4 very natural human movements that we can learn to interact with, that are part of our natural development, that we can use to get just more intentional with how we are practicing and how we are moving. With that idea in mind, why do all of these walking drills? Well, it's so that we can look at how we walk, start to apply a method to our study of how we walk. And that's how we're gonna build our experience, our muscle memory, our coordination is all gonna start moving forward with that method. In our Tai Chi practice, we might train for a short period of time, is this slow, methodical walking that we're gonna do a bunch of different ways. And then we look at how you can just take this and apply it to a natural rhythm and a natural walk. It's something that I make a really important part of all of my teaching because we want to connect our practice to everything that we do. All right, some simple ways to interact with your Tai Chi walking practice. You can do this as its own contained practice for whatever amount of time you decide that you would like to do it. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You can say, I'm just gonna do some Tai Chi walking. You can do it in your backyard, whatever space you have available to you. Another great way to use it is maybe as a short little warm-up before you go on a walk. You can use it to loosen up a little bit at the end of the day. If you've been sitting a long time, you can get up and do some Tai Chi walking to stretch your legs. It becomes your own practice once you start to feel how you can interact with it and how your body's gonna feel doing it and after you've done it, because that's where you're gonna really be in touch with the process. We're gonna do some basic warm-ups for our walking. This is something that's optional. Walking can be a warm-up, but if you wanna wake up some of the joints a little bit, do a little bit of prep to get into your practice, then doing a little bit of warm-up can have a really nice effect. So we're gonna do this warm-up in such a way that gets us in touch with posture, finds the horizon. Our breath flows naturally in through the nose, out through the nose or mouth. And then we're gonna do our warm-ups from the ground up. So we're gonna start with our ankle rockers, just rocking our feet, feeling ourselves reach through the toes, ground the heels, trying to feel the whole foot. This is gonna help us a lot in our Tai Chi walking because a big part of our walking is feeling the foot make contact with the ground and providing a firm base. So reach through the toes, ground the heels. Get the weight into the ball of the foot, trying to have the weight be too much into the toes. Keep the toes reaching. See if you can find a little pause. Connect the heels all the way up to the crown of the head. Then we're gonna come down, placing the hands above the knees, and we wanna just feel ourselves point the knees with the toes. Point the knees with the toes. So we start lining up our legs, feeling our curves and our straights. The hips just gently sink down to the feet. And now we still keep that sense of reaching through the toes, grounding the heels, but we want to have the whole foot firmly on the ground. Good. Coming on up. Now we're gonna do some movements for our hips. So all you're gonna do is just simply lift and open and put it down. Lift, open, put it down. Feel the knee go across and over, and put a little bit more awareness at your knee. That's gonna help give you a sense of the shape of your leg as you just do these really simple circles with the hips. And then stepping to the inside. And you can do this really small. Like you're just lifting up over the height of the ankle, over the height of the ankle, or you can lift it up a little higher so it goes towards the knee, doesn't have to go over the knee, towards the knee. Start using your own body as a reference point. Good. And now coming up to our waist, arms out, gentle circles, turning, feeling the hands come to the front. We want to feel this turn come from our waist and our hips, the front of the body, the back of the body. We don't want to feel a twist down at our knees. We want to feel nice and strong, coming up all the way from the ground. And then last one, come back in and shrugging the shoulders. Feel the hips and the shoulders work together. Let them relax down. If you happen to have a big coat on, you're gonna feel like you're adjusting that a little bit more comfortably. Switching directions. Still look for information from the bottom up. So you feel it come up from the feet, through the hips, through the waist, into the shoulders. And relax. All right, that little warm-up is a great little warm-up for almost any physical activity because it builds our information from the ground up, waking up ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders, and gets us nice and lined up. So it's really good to get you ready for your Tai Chi walking. What we're gonna go over right now is our basic walking done in 3 phases. Now these phases are meant to be done together in order almost every time you practice your basic walking. Now that being said, this is Tai Chi, so we do allow for a lot of variety and variation. So if there's one that you find really beneficial, you can spend a little bit of more time there because that's your practice talking to you. So the first one, basic walking, we're going to find a nice relaxed posture. Hands are relaxed at our side, fingertips, palms, looking for information, and our hands floating on water position, okay? Which means that this is just aware, right? Looking for information. We're hands floating on water, we're thinking about the palms, the fingertips, as if you're in a pool of water. We want these on either side of the body, giving us a sense of our outside line. So we don't want to step over here, right? Away from our hand, or over here. Or if we step, we don't want our hands to drift right now. As we walk, we want to keep our hands moving in this line at about this height of the waist, because this is where our belt channel is and our belt vessel. This is where we can get a sense of the lower body and upper body working together. So hands floating on water position. Now, phase 1 is about finding empty full and getting understanding our proper stepping position. Oftentimes we tend to overstride, and when we've done that, I've uprooted my back heel, I've kind of separated my position, and I'm not quite as in a natural walk as I would like to be. So we want to be able to step out nice and relaxed without uprooting this leg to find that front position. So this first phase, what we do is we find that with the ball of our foot and our toes, because that's where we're the most aware, right? We have the most awareness of our space right there. So we find it. Then we place our whole foot down, sinking the body. This is so we can feel our whole foot flat on the ground, working with our motion. Intention from Tai Chi is advance. So from center, move from center as center, we advance forward over the front leg. And then we collect, squeezing the legs together, reaching out as if on a frozen lake. Find that position without uprooting the other leg. Place it down flat, advance. Squeeze the legs to collect. Reach it out. Drop it down. Advance. Now, what I'd like you to also pay attention to is as I place this foot out, notice the relative distance between my knees. Not very far. That's because I haven't overstrode. If I overstride, then the distance between my legs is quite far. But if I've done it correctly, or within my own anatomy, right, helping inform this movement, then when I put my foot down, my weight is still back, but the relative distance between my legs is close. So what I want you to feel is as you're advancing forward, draw the legs apart intentionally. Feel that back leg pull away and straighten a little bit. It doesn't have to straighten fully, but it can straighten a little bit so you feel it moving away from the front leg. Then you can relax and collect, and you might feel a little bit of a response to that. Place it down, notice the legs are close together, and then intentionally separate and draw the legs apart as you advance. Collect, find your spot, find the flat, separate and advance. Bring together, find it, separate and advance. All right, there's phase one. Phase one is this, the ball of the foot finding the ground, then doing the flat. So phase two is simply putting our foot out and placing it down flat without using the ball of the foot first. So what is the added challenge? We don't have that awareness of the toe finding the ground. We have to find it with the flat of the foot, the whole body sinking, and then we advance and separate. Collect, flat of the foot, advance and separate. Collect, flat of the foot, advance and separate. There we go, phase two. Phase three, what is the difference? Well, our natural walking is not going to be flat of the foot. This is a little bit more almost like running. When we run, we cycle to get over into the ball of the foot so we can do a running stride. But when we walk, we tend to make contact with our heel, okay? So now that we've found the ball of the foot, the flat of the foot, you should be able to find the heel, okay? So you put the heel down. The challenge here is the toes need to be facing forward. Oftentimes, once we put the heel up, the toes are gonna go that way, and we want them pointing forward. So the toes are up, and now as I advance and separate the legs, actively put the foot down to squish the ground, right? Or like Thich Nhat Hanh says, kiss the ground with your feet. And then collect, lift, heel down, advance, separate, actively pedal the foot down to feel it make contact with the ground. And now feel the whole foot pressured into the ground and that back leg strong, helping you root. Collect, heel, advance, separate, collect, heel, advance, separate, pedal the foot. there's your phase 3. And now obviously this phase 3 is looks a lot like what you see in most Tai Chi forms, especially Yang style. Not necessarily, Chin style has this to a certain degree as well. But in most Tai Chi forms, you're gonna see that heel come out first and then them pedal into place. And you notice my stance is wider because that's what I've done. I've turned my step into a stance, right? Because if you can onboard some of these movements, connecting the legs, separating the legs while you're walking, well then it just becomes a further drill to feel how to do that, to transition into more stance-based walking patterns like our ocean stepping, which is exactly what ocean stepping is. It's a stance-based walking pattern. We go from what is an empty stance to a forward bow stance, climbing the mountain, to a 7-star stance, to another open, more forward bow stance, empty stance. So by understanding this changing of empty full, how to find natural stepping positions for walking, you're gonna be able to connect this to a lot of different things like your stances in your Tai Chi form or your natural walking. Before we continue, I'd like to invite you to a 7-day Tai Chi and Qigong challenge. We offer a free trial where you can explore a wide range of thoughtfully structured Tai Chi and Qigong courses and experience the practice at your own pace. Check out the link below whenever you're ready. Now let's get back to the topic. Here's a few tips you can bring into your walking practice that are gonna help you get into it deeper, make it a little bit better and upgrade it over time. So first off is, whichever pattern that you're doing, as you separate the legs, bring some awareness to that back heel. That back heel way back there, right? We wanna feel that that is grounded and helping support our movement, helping us stand up tall. This is really important. We don't want to step and have the process of stepping right now lift up that back heel without us being aware of it. This is our yin-yang concept. Moving forward informs the rear, right? As you move forward, think back. As you move left, think right. So find that back heel, and when it's time to move forward and bring that foot forward, try to pick up that back heel. And then placing it down, and as you move forward, pay attention to that back heel. That back heel is going to tell you when you really need to come to a rest of that forward momentum before transitioning into the next phase. And then when it's time to transition in the next phase, actively pick up your back heel to bring it through. That right there is a really strong intention you can bring into your practice that's going to get strength moving through it all the way from the back, right? That's that yin-yang concept. The strength is coming all the way from that back heel as you move, and it's going to create a challenge that you are monitoring, right? That you are monitoring through your intention. Now, another tip from the lower body is going to be a little sense of a squeeze. So imagine as you're walking here, you feel that separation of the legs, which is straight forward and back like a pair of scissors opening, and then feel a little squeeze coming in from your hips and from your arms to help you keep a sense of midline and your middle. And a little squeeze to move. So not only do we feel an advancing, but we feel a squeezing come into our movement. And that's something that your body's gonna be able to relate to in a lot of different areas. The squeezing of the arms, the squeezing of the groin, the squeezing of the hands coming together towards middle. And so that's gonna help out a lot. Now, for the arms, we can change our arm positions as well. We have hands floating on water. You can change them to holding the cauldron, where it's like you're moving, holding a ball, holding a pot. You can also raise these up to this position. And it's going to add a whole nother challenge. And you can move back and forth between those as you're working. This is how you can add some different challenges, some versatility, keep yourself engaging the practice, and also get some work into your shoulders and feel how the shoulders are involved with this. Also, a very important aspect of this is how we take this and put it into our normal walk. We normally walk, there's going to be a rhythm with our arms. But we don't want to be stuck in this rhythm like a robot. We want to be able to be free and do things with our arms and hold something and point over there and talk to our friends without that confusing the way that we move. So by bringing a sense of stillness, right, and stability to the upper body, that's going to allow us to focus on the motion that's happening from the ground up. That's the concept of dong zhong qiu jing. In the midst of motion, seek stillness. So we're creating a little bit of stillness here in the upper body, observing the motion, feeling the stillness of the upper body and how that relates to the motion of the lower body, finding that sense of advance, move from center. And so it becomes a really relaxing practice. That's great for the nervous system, stimulates all of the 8 extraordinary vessels. It's great for your mindfulness, attention, and just getting your awareness throughout the entire body. When we have a method that we're putting into our practice, we also want to have a way to release it and just get more natural in how we move. You're not going to get very far down the street if you're doing walking like this, which is no problem if that's where you're practicing. But once we get into our normal stepping, we just want to go about our day, well, then we need a way to bridge our practice and our normal stepping, and it's that concept of zirun. So I'm going to teach you a really fun pattern called lion rolls the ball that we can do with our feet. When we step and we do our Tai Chi stepping, we have our heel down. Well, if you can imagine that you stop the ball, maybe a ball was rolling towards you and your foot goes out and it stops that ball, okay? Well, let's take that same intention and imagine that you're gonna push that ball forward. You're rolling it forward with the bottom of your foot, and then you step. And you push the ball forward and step. Push the ball forward and step. Push it forward and step. And feel your arms hanging nice and relaxed at your sides, right? We don't need to exaggerate a swing. We can just feel nice and relaxed. You can put them behind your back or in your pockets, right? Whatever you want to do with your arms, just let them be relaxed. Lion pushes the ball. Nice, relaxed stepping, and you can see how this is much more natural. And what concepts can we bring? Seeking stillness within motion, a more sense of stillness in the shoulders and the center as we move, a sense of empty full, so we feel this leg is empty, finding the awareness of the ground, while we use that motion to get a little bit more action and intention from our knee, from our quads, from our hamstrings. Now, the beautiful thing about Tai Chi is that it's the individual expression of universal principles. So there's lots of different ways to interact with these arts. All of that is going to be beneficial to us if we interact with it from that perspective of we're just studying it, we're listening to our body, we're applying these principles and looking for the method. And you're gonna start moving better because of that intention and because of that process.